few things to begin with. First of all, you should be knowing how to proceed. Fine. You all understand that there are three components of exam: your prelims, your mains, and your interview. Do we require a separate preparation for all? We require a separate preparation? No. Fine. You don't require a separate preparation. We have to go for the preparation together. Okay? And out of all this, the biggest challenge for general studies is mains in its own sense. Why? Because of the amount of syllabus to be covered. Okay. Now, amount of syllabus to be covered, here you'd also need to develop different type of skills. Fine. Understand the issue from mains point of view, at the same time from prelims point of view. Few topics are going to be common topics. Again, you will have to know how to write. Writing is the most important part of the mains. And writing requires what part? First of all, information. After information, ability to analyze and ability to think. Writing will not come so easily. Writing will be the most difficult part. It requires ability to understand how to think. Is that clear? We will be emphasizing on the writing part in two ways. Okay. So that will be actually a very core area of your preparation. Two ways. First is you will have a weekly test in two methods. One is prelims, another is mains. Alternatively, we will be doing. Okay. Now, what is the purpose of this test? This purpose of this test is your revision of the syllabus which has been covered up till now. Okay. And in this test, initially, the type of questions we will have for prelims and mains, they will be simpler questions. Okay. As your capacity will increase, we will bring you to the level which is required. Okay. But we will also be doing things parallelly. Parallelly means this is going to be a process which will continue, but one day, either on Sunday or Saturday, they will tell, most probably on Sunday, I will be taking your master class. This master class will be for the topics which are very exclusive and exam oriented topic. So we will be developing parallel preparation process. Fine. What will happen it cannot be done separately. Time will not be available. But don't worry, I will pick up the issues, varied issues. You can call it contemporary issues. Fine. And I will explain the issue, and I will also be telling you how to write an answer. Fine. So this class of mine, you can consider it as your mentorship class. Fine. What I recommend, you make notes on loose sheets. Okay, so that you can keep on adding to your notes. Plus, you can categorize the things. Okay, later on, put it in the files. Again, whichever test, suppose in polity some section is taught, some test is taken, that test you should attach to your notes of that topic. Later on, it will be easy. What happens is, these things appear simple, okay, but later on it becomes unmanageable. तो हम based on experience अभी से उन चीजों को करेंगे. आप चाहे तो कॉपी में भी लिख रहे हैं, स्पाइरल में लिख रहे हैं, लेकिन कैटेगराइज करके रखना है. नेक्स्ट क्या चीज होगी, जैसे we will also be providing you the online lectures of the current. Plus, you will also be studying from your own the current part. Suppose I have discussed UCC, okay? Then some article has come from paper. You read it, you want to attach it. तो ऐसे नोट्स को अभी अगर हम मैनेज कर लेंगे तो आगे जाके हम नहीं कर पाएंगे. ठीक है, जैसे मान लो आई टीच यू ऑन सम टॉपिक ऑन इंक्लूसिव ग्रोथ, फिर उसमें बार बार वैल्यू एडिशन होते रहेंगे. सपोज सम न्यू रिपोर्ट कम्स, इसलिए इफ यू विल मेक नोट्स इन लूज शीट्स and maintain the file, this is easy. But again, you should not lose it, because notes will be a evolving notes. Okay, again we will be starting with one subject, polity. You know, polity is the core area, and that is why, and for polity, your basic reference book, they will also be giving you material, but every student takes Lakshmi Kant's book. Whichever subject you are studying, you will understand that subject only when you know PYQ. Okay, suppose fundamental rights, you know what are the PYQs, you can understand the class in that context. So primarily, Kumud sir will take care of your prelims portion. I will be taking care of your mains portion, so that you don't worry. Even while teaching the mains portion, I will tell you from prelims point of view. First of all, we have to study everything, because one thing is connected with the other thing. At the same time, few things are needed only for information, few things are needed for examination, plus we have to score better than others, so we need to put some extra effort into that. Okay, so from your side, or you must already be having, do you find polity difficult? See, in polity, students feel as if they have to remember articles. You don't have to remember articles. Fine. Again, focus should not be on too much memorization of facts. Why will you memorize facts when in prelims question is also there and answer is also there? Okay, even prelims question is also very conceptual question. So we will work on two level strategies. First is backgrounder level. Fine. Your background sir will be preparing, but parallelly I will also be starting. From the beginning, don't be over ambitious. Over ambitious means I do this, ultimately doing nothing, because we all get puzzled. Okay, so it is again, every time I tell, it is also a personality test. Which skill of personality will be required? Perseverance. Be patient. Your capacity will develop gradually. Gradually, when different subjects will come, you will start understanding. Now, you know the pillar subjects: polity, history, geography, economy, and science. Plus, there are certain subjects which are going to be asked only in mains. Let us say disaster management. You don't need to give too much time. Okay? Internal security, these type of issues. So you, from your side, you will focus more on your prelims preparation. Newspaper also, no confusion. You should read only Hindu, no Express, nothing, because we don't require so much information which they give. At the same time, you will also not be able to process that much information. Okay? Anything else? So, first of all, anything that troubles you, any specific need, they will also be allocating a very good mentor. Abhi ke liye for polity, Bhagwan, you told, he will explain you. Agar there is some issue about the teacher, class, administration, you can always approach to me. ठीक है, आप अप्रोच करें, शुभांशु को अप्रोच करें कि यहाँ पे प्रॉब्लम है. In the beginning, you take some time to develop frequency with the teacher. ठीक है, तो एक बार आप और टीचर फ्रीक्वेंसी पे आएंगे, देयर विल बी नो सच इश्यूज. तो आई विल बी टेकिंग केयर ऑफ योर मेंस इश्यूज. एनीथिंग एल्स? आपके कोई क्वेश्चन, एनी क्वेश्चन ऑफ योर्स? टेक नोट्स, रिवाइज. You know your scheduling, date, like timetable and all. This is also very important from the very beginning. You should work in a systematic manner. There is no need to overwork. Go in a smooth manner, in a manner which is not putting you under any sort of pressure, because that is not required. From the very first day, don't do the type of preparation which you do 2 months before prelims or 2 months before mains. Okay? More importantly, focus on developing the right attitude and the approach. Okay? So anything else? You want to ask any question? You all are clear about everything? Okay, fine. So all the best. We'll meet on Sunday. Okay?
Thank you, ma'am. You can come ahead. Sure. Very good afternoon to all of you. My name is Shubhanshu Jaiswal and I am one of the coordinators here. So I'll be helping you with all the nitty-gritties of your course. Okay. My first question, how many of you are appearing in UPSC 2025, the target year 2025? Okay. Remaining 26, further 27. Yours? 25. Okay, cool. So few things that I want to inform you today. I hope you all are familiar with the UPSC exam pattern. There are 3 stages. Each paper is having this much of marks. Fine. Syllabus you are well aware. We'll very briefly, we'll also provide you a handout. So just few things which I want to inform you are here. The course plan. So how do we conduct the course? What are the subjects that we will cover in this course? So we'll have Indian polity, we'll have ancient medieval art and culture, modern India, post-independence, world history, geography and disaster management, environment ecology, Indian economy, science and tech, ethics, Indian society, internal security, governance and international relations. ठीक है, अभी जो समझ में आया होगा वो ये है कि the course will last long. Okay, so there are approximately 310 lectures. So naturally this course will run for around 11 months. Okay, we will make it a task that we finish it in the 11th month. However, in order to make the things smooth for you, I'm saying this because this is May. We are at the May end. So next, if you count the 11th month from today, that is April. In the month of April, we cannot have the class as such. Why? Because many of you are going to appear for the prelims. So in order to save you from that stress, we might put some extra classes in the months like October, November, December, so that after January you are in the capacity to dedicate your time more into prelims preparation. So the course and the subjects, everything will be done in that way that strengthen your preparation. Never feel that you are vulnerable. If you feel puzzled, if you feel confused, which might happen, it is very natural. This preparation is not easy. The diversity of the subjects, the patience that you require. So you might need someone's support. For that, you can always reach out to teachers. Then you have the mentors, you have also in-house teachers, you have us, the management as well. So if you ever face any problem, come and discuss it. Don't keep it to yourself. Okay. So the batch is starting today, 27th. Your batch timings will be 2 to 4 p.m. However, at times, in order to, as I said, finish the syllabus early, we might have extra classes. Batch duration, tentatively 11 months. And the total lecture will be somewhere around 310. You must be thinking why I'm saying so much of tentative, because you see, class flow is not something which can be decided very mechanically. No, at times the classes get extended due to the doubts of the students. अगर न्यूज़ में कोई टॉपिक आ जाता है तो फिर वो ज़्यादा डिस्कस होगा. So that kind of variation results in the variation of your overall course time. For your general issues, let's say you have anything very personal, okay, you want any kind of help, okay, there's something you want to back up, you have missed certain classes, you have examination in the college. For such issues, general issues, you can always write us a mail at gs@shubhraranjan.com. For academic, purely academic consultations, you want to discuss it with the mentors or you want to discuss it with the teachers, for academic part, always reach us through this email, gsmentor1@shubhraranjan.com. You don't write it, you will get it in the group itself. Okay. For technical issues, since you are offline students, I assume you won't be having as such any technical issue, but our online viewers, you have the tablet. Sometimes tablet might not work due to the technical issue. Maybe at times there is a disturbance in the server or in the internet from your end. So in such scenarios, you don't need to panic. You just report it to the technical team through this email. You can also call us on our helpline number. We'll get back to you as soon as possible. Okay. You'll get all this on your Telegram group. So our primary mode of communication will be Telegram group. So what all will you expect? Can you expect there? First, your monthly schedule. Suppose we are starting polity today. So it's my duty to inform you that for the next 1 month, you will have polity classes. Who will take it? What time it will be done? And accordingly, you can make your own revision plan, etc. Fine, because you have optional classes, you have other engagements, college classes, etc. Fine. Apart from that, every week we will send you the वीकली टाइम टेबल. ओके, स्केड्यूल जो होगा एक ओवरऑल पॉलिटी का वो तो आपको मिलेगा, वो अलग है, बट आपको किस दिन कौन सी क्लास होनी है वो फिर से एक बार आपको हर संडे की इवनिंग तक मिल जाएगा फॉर द नेक्स्ट वीक. ओके, सो ये आपको ध्यान रखना होगा, आपके उस टेलीग्राम ग्रुप को एक्टिवली देखना होगा. ठीक है, सारे नोटिफिकेशंस वही जाते हैं. देन आफ्टर द क्लास वी कंडक्ट द डाउट सेशंस. Since you are offline students, you can consult the teachers directly here, and you can consult the teachers, you can ask your doubts in between the lecture as well. But for online students, it becomes very important to clear your doubts, and for that we schedule a Zoom session. Zoom session is scheduled just after your class. So for example, the class gets over at 4:30, so 4:40 we can expect you to join the Zoom session, and wherein you can interact with the faculty and clear your doubts. Fine. Apart from the weekly timetable, you will also get that syllabus which is going to be in your weekly test. टेस्ट कब होना है? संडे को. ऑब्जेक्टिव होगा या सब्जेक्टिव होगा ये आपको अगेन टेलीग्राम पे बता दिया जाएगा. उसका सिलेबस क्या है वो भी आपको बता दिया जाएगा. सिंस दिस इज गोइंग टू बी द फर्स्ट संडे, वी माइट नॉट हैव द टेस्ट. फाइन, बिकॉज अभी वी अंडरस्टैंड दिस इज योर फर्स्ट डे, सो वील स्टार्ट द थिंग्स एट ease pace. Okay, going forward we might increase the difficulty level, we might make it more challenging so that you get equally prepared for the exam as well, because one thing you all agree is that the exam is extremely competitive. Fine, so all the very best wishes from the entire management and the team of Shubhra Ranjan IAS. We welcome you here. In case you have any doubt, in case you have any problem, feel free to come to me. You can discuss your challenges with the faculty members as well, but थोड़ा सा wisdom use कर लेना. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि टेक्निकल चीजें टीचर से पूछ रहे हैं. टीचर से आप एकेडमिक पूछिए, हमसे आप टेक्निकल या मैनेजमेंट रिलेटेड. ठीक है, और अगर कुछ भी ऐसा आपको इनपुट देना है उसके लिए भी यू आर मोर देन वेलकम. आई होप दिस सफाइज. ये जो एग्जैक्ट ईमेल आईडी एंड कॉन्टैक्ट नंबर है ये सब आपको टेलीग्राम पे मिल जाएगा. अभी इसके अलावा कोई आपको डाउट है, कंफ्यूजन है? वन मोर थिंग आई वांट टू अनाउंस दैट today we are starting the classes here. For a time being, classes will be held here. However, very soon we are going to shift to another building, so that building is also nearby. So at that time we'll change the venue, but again we'll inform you. Okay, so for now generally this classroom is going to be your class. Fine, good to go. All right, I would like to welcome Kumud Ranjan sir. He takes polity here, and in this preparation he is going to play a great role. So thank you sir.
Good afternoon, all of you. I am Dr. Kumud Ranjan Singh, and I will be there with you for the Indian Polity section of the General Studies paper. The lectures will be taken by me, and it will be mentorship by ma'am also. She will be taking a special classes on Sundays, as she may have told you also. As it is my first interaction with you, there are certain things that I will like to share with you with respect to the approach of this section. You see, every section of the general studies paper, it has got its own approach. History has to be read from a different point of view. Then we read science and technology, economy from a different point of view. And when we talk about Indian polity, obviously a different approach is there. The first important thing that we need to understand in the Indian polity section is that Indian polity is not only about the articles of the Constitution, because there is a general perception among the students as well as among the trainers that Indian polity is only about the provisions or the articles of the Constitution. But I said it is a perception. It can be a misconception also. You see, among most of the trainers also, basically, this is the general feeling that you will have to read all the articles of the Constitution. But you see, Indian polity is more than the articles of the Constitution. You will not have to mug up the articles of the Constitution as such. We will have to develop an understanding about the provisions of the Constitution. For example, if with the help of this smart board, I discuss with you the process for the creation of a new state, and then I'll say that this process has been mentioned in article number 3. For you, the process is more important. For you, the process is more important than the article number. No one is going to ask you what is article 3, what is article 4, what is article 1. It is not like that. It is not a quiz contest. It is also not general knowledge. It is general studies. So then, with the help of this board, if I discuss with you the process for the impeachment of the president, and then I'll say that, okay, the process of impeachment has been mentioned in Article 61 of the Constitution. So for you, the process is more important, because in the examination, the question will be, which of the following statement is correct regarding the impeachment of the president? 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, ऐसे करके. It is not that they will be asking you the article numbers as such. You see, most of the students who do not make, or through the examination, whose name do not appear in the merit list, even you will find them here and there. They will try to, in the beginning when you start preparation, you will come across such type of students who will tell you that when you are having a cup of tea, then oh, you are started preparing. Then, we are taking classes there. What is this article? You start, yes. Ab dekhoge, the students will start acting like this only, whom we call as seniors. हम बोलते हैं ना seniors. मतलब वो हमसे पहले they have started the preparation. That is seniors. So they will start asking you such questions, and you will get afraid. Arey, I don't know anything. But then he will say, or she will say, I have been preparing for the last 4-5 years. You see, I have attempted for 3, I have given 3 attempts, but I have not cleared. I remember all the articles, but even then I have not cleared the prelims. Then the answer that you need to give him or her is that you did not compete in the prelims examination because you mugged up all the articles. You did not try to understand them. So someone mugs up all the articles, but he will not, we can say, compete with the prelims once. The message is very clear that you need to develop an understanding with respect to the political system. It is not about mugging up the articles of the Constitution. तो रटने के सब कर जाते compete. And not only this, you see, there is other aspect. When we are on this side, it is very easy for a polity teacher to say that you remember all the articles. It's very easy for me. Oh, you remember all the articles. It is very easy for a history teacher to say that you remember all the dates. It will be very easy for an economy teacher to say you remember all the data. But when we are on the other side, the things are not as easy as we think. Because we are not the experts of this subject, but yes, we have been reading this subject for long. For example, I have been teaching since 2002. So I have been teaching the same subject. I have done my graduation in this subject. I have done PhD. So basically, it is my core area. So for me, it is a part of life for me. But for you, you have to read so many subjects, 14 to 15 sections, as Subhanshu sir was telling you, that polity, history, internal security, disaster management, international relations. I was sitting there and I saw that he was talking to you regarding all these things. So 14, 15 sections, you cannot be an encyclopedia. No one can be an encyclopedia. So the objective of these classes will not be to make you mug up the articles, but to develop an understanding in you. That is termed as reading between the lines. You'll have to get an understanding of the things in order to compete in the examination. That understanding will be developed in the class. And when we talk about Indian polity section, there are two aspects. One is the constitution, and the second one is working of the political system. Mainly we focus on two aspects. Both the aspects have to be read together. For example, in the constitutional part, suppose we discuss the preamble. What is the preamble? What is the significance of the preamble? Then which amendment act had amended the preamble? The basic things. This aspect may be known to everyone, that which amendment act had amended the preamble. Anyone who prepares for any competitive examination, he knows that 3 words were added in the preamble, that is socialist, secular and integrity. But we will be discussing the other aspects also. For example, if the word socialist is there, what is the meaning of the term socialist? Then from where the word socialist has come? Because in order to understand socialism, you will have to understand that from where this concept has come, the background. Then after that, what is the difference between communism and socialism? The basic things. Because in the examination, in the syllabus it is not mentioned. But in the examination, the questions are asked from those aspects also. Which of the following is similar to both Gandhi and Marx? So basically, you'll have to connect the things. You'll have to develop an understanding. That is more important. So we will be discussing socialism, Marxism, what is the basic difference between these two, and then we'll also be discussing the dimensions of Indian socialism, because the word socialism socialist has been mentioned in the preamble. तो ये नहीं सिर्फ आपको बता दें कि अच्छा the socialist word was added, a holistic idea and then whether the concept of socialism is relevant in the contemporary times or not. Because in the era of liberalization, you say, generally what people are saying, the government has sold the railways, the government has sold the Air India, it is, yes. So, we are not the student of politics, but what questions can be framed? Is the role of the state still relevant in the era of liberalization, or has the concept of socialism become irrelevant in the concept of liberalization? Such dynamic questions. Then when we discuss secular, it is not that, okay, I know that the word secular was added by the 42nd Amendment Act. No political questions will be discussed that why this word was this. Generally students, क्या होता है ना, कुछ क्वेश्चन में मजा आता है डिस्कशन करने में, but they are not useful for the examination purpose. That's why 42nd Amendment Act had added the word secular. It was the decision of the political government at that point of time. But we need to understand that what is the meaning of the word secular or secularism, how Indian secularism is different from the Western concept of secularism, what is this concept of positive secularism, then what are the legal dimensions of secularism, and what are the debates going on in the country among the scholars. ये नहीं कि चाय दुकान के डिबेट हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे, among the scholars, that whether India is a secular country or not. Because obviously this is a big debate in the country. Some people say that India is secular, some people say that India is not secular. So that debate also we will be discussing. And then the way out. How secularism can be strengthened in India. A complete package. Because if you see the questions which are being asked in the mains examination also, if you see the last 10-year question papers, the questions will be on dimensions of Indian secularism, how the Indian secularism is different from the Western concept of secularism, what is this concept of positive secularism. So we need to develop an understanding about these concepts. Then the concept of democracy, democracy as a political system, because in our prelim syllabus it is mentioned the political systems. So we'll have to be aware about such type of things. If we talk about democracy, what is the meaning of democracy? Because in the examination the question will be, which of the following statement is correct regarding democracy? 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4. Which one of the following is not a feature of liberal democracy? So, okay, what is liberal democracy? What are the features of liberal democracy? How it is different from the Marxist democracy as it is practiced in China? So we need to develop an understanding. What is direct democracy? What is indirect democracy? What type of democracy can be suitable for India? So such type of things. And then the concepts of liberty, equality, justice, yes. So basically, अगर आप देखोगे, so we will have to connect the things. That is polity. How the political system works. What is the real nature of secularism in India? What type of socialism we follow in India? It is more than the articles of the Constitution. Then, suppose if we discuss part 1 of the Constitution. Even remember, all the articles are not to be remembered or not to be discussed also in the class. Some important ones. And then the theoretical part, the constitutional aspect. Then the dynamic aspect, justification for smaller states. How far the demand for the smaller states can be justified. Such questions. Linguistic states. What are the advantages of linguistic states? What are the disadvantages of the linguistic states? Because everywhere it is written. Fazal Ali Commission, it had recommended that the state should be on the basis of language. But the advantages of linguistic state, the disadvantages of linguistic states, then how far we can justify the demand for smaller states in India. Then if we talk about fundamental rights, then we first of all we need to know the concept of rights, human rights, because fundamental rights are the basic rights. So more than the articles of the constitution, because questions are dynamic, the questions which are being asked are dynamic in nature. So we need to develop an understanding about certain aspects. If we discuss the office of the president, the constitutional aspect regarding the president's office, we will be discussing. Then the dynamic aspect, role of the president in the era of coalition politics. If we have a rubber stamp president, the dynamic aspect. Similarly, agar aap governors, we will be reading governor's office, constitutional provisions regarding governor. After that, we will be discussing the role of the governor, because the role of the governor has always been controversial. Even now also you see that in the opposition ruled states, Kerala, we have, then in Tamil Nadu, you may be reading it in the newspapers that there is dispute with respect to the governor. There is a conflict sometimes between the chief minister and the governor. So we will be discussing these dynamic aspects, that how the role of the governor has become controversial in the contemporary times. Done. So such type of dynamic, because it is polity. It is polity. Two things I have written here. One is the constitution and then working of the political system. Both the things have to be read. The mistake that the students make is that they emphasize on this aspect, that is on the articles of the constitution, but they do not try to understand the working of the political system. Similarly, if we talk about elections, we are not supposed to discuss only the provisions with respect to elections in India. It is not that we should know only about the election commission, but we need to know that what is a national party, what is a state party, what is the criteria for the recognition of a political party as a state party, criteria for recognition of a political party as a national party. And not only this, you may be reading it in the newspaper or hearing it, star campaigners. In the elections, star campaigners. The party has released the name of star campaigners. So what are star campaigners? Then, so ye sab cheezein, these things will be developed in the class. Then how the elections are actually conducted, who is the returning officer, who is chief electoral officer, presiding officer, polling officer, ye sab jo hum, the things that we hear. So polity is a complete package. It is not only about the articles of the constitution. We will have to develop an understanding on different aspects. So basically it is reading between the lines. Now we will be focusing on these two aspects, constitution and working of the political system. Your base will be the lecture notes. The lecture notes. Base. Lecture notes means our methodology that we follow in our institution. We will be explaining the things to you, and then we will making you to write also. So that when you go out of this room, then something standard will be there with you. Because in the classroom, what happens generally, sometimes when we come and we deliver the lectures, as it generally happens at the college level, the professor comes, he delivers lectures and they go. And after that, the students will have to read of their own, search here and there. But, so that is a college method. Here basically, we will have to be very much focused. College में तो चलते रहता है, एक ही chapter एक महीने तक पढ़ाते रहे सर, विद्वान है. They are very much learned people. They can discuss with you the same, yes, the same. आँख बंद करके they start teaching. Whether the students are understanding or not, it hardly matters for them. But here we are very much focused. You'll have to be within a limit. So when the things will be there in your copy, then it will be crystal clear. When you go home also, you can revise it. So once I will discuss the things with the help of this smart board. Then I will make you to write it also, so that twice also the things will be there in your mind. And after that, you can follow the study material provided by the institution. The books will be provided to you by the institution also. You can supplement it. And if you wish, you may read the NCERTs also, if you wish. From my side, there is no need. From my side. Because I will try to be your NCERT. NCERT में the things are simplified. अब इतना simply मैं आपको खुद ही बता दूंगा, there will be no need of the NCERTs also, to read NCERTs. Yes, but if you wish to read 11th and 12th, NCERT you can read. But sometimes the NCERTs are also very difficult to follow. If you are from the non-humanities background, it will be difficult for you even to understand the NCERTs. So after the class also, if you wish, you can read it. If you have to appear in 2026, 2027, then. If you have to appear in 2025, then you need to go with the class only. So there is one thing, no need to go through Lakshmikant's book. No need. Done. Generally, it has become a fashion symbol among the students. Even those who prepare for SSC examination, even for the PNS examination in this country, they carry the book of Lakshmikant. That is Indian Polity by Lakshmi. I have not seen that book. But even if you don't read that book, but if you are regular in the classes and you follow the lecture notes, be sure no one is going to stop you. अगर आपने किताब नहीं खरीदा होगा, then there is no need to purchase that book. You can spend that 600 rupees or 400 or 500 rupees, whatever is the cost of the book, in watching a movie also, or having some dry fruits also. That will be good for your health. But if you have not purchased this, there is no need to purchase that. इतने लोग तो पढ़ते हैं. Yes, everyone reads that book, but how many of they compete? You need to go beyond Lakshmikant's book. Then only you will compete in the examination. You will have to go beyond that book. It is not the Bible. ये तो इन्होंने बिजनेस शुरू कर दिया है, अनअकैडमी और ये सब. हाँ, Lakshmikant 24 hours crash course. What is that? It's not a Bible. You'll have to read political system. So ये आप लोग हमेशा ये नहीं है कि भाई पर्टिकुलर बुक पर्टिकुलर ये, देयर इज नथिंग कॉल्ड दैट कि भाई उसको बिना पढ़े आपका नहीं होगा. सो दिस विल बी योर ले. एंड देन कमिंग द क्रूशियल पार्ट, द वर्किंग ऑफ द पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम. Issues will be discussed in the class also. For example, the office of the governor. We'll be discussing the dynamic aspect also of the office of the governor. How the office of the governor has become controversial in the contemporary times. Then, similarly, judicial activism, judicial review, public interest litigation, whether judicial activism has become judicial overreach. Such type of issues. That is the dynamic issues. Then what are the issues in Indian judiciary? That is the problems that the Indian judiciary is facing. And what are the reforms that are required in the Indian judiciary? A complete package. वो तो class में we will be discussing. But you will have to do value additions to the lecture notes. That is very important. How a topper is born? Topper is the person who takes guidance from the class. But the topper, what he does or she does, she will be doing some value additions also in the lecture notes. That is very important. Because you see, the same things are taught by the teacher. Many students are sitting in the same class, but only one or two compete. Why? All have read the same notes. Because the students may have done value additions. They have moved beyond that. They have got an idea that, okay, these things we have to read. But value additions you will have to make. How you will be doing the value additions? For that, any national newspaper, Now, it is not that you will read the newspaper daily. From this how to prepare answers, I am telling you how to make use of the newspaper for preparing on the issues. That is my concern. Current affairs के लिए तो lot of information is available everywhere. And suppose if I discuss with you judicial activism in the class, then my work is over. With some modifications, I discuss the same thing with the students every year. Changes with some modifications, with the changing times and circumstances. Now, what you will have to do when you go home, you will have to make a, we can say, first of all, Google articles on judicial activism in the Hindu, articles on judicial activism in the Indian Express. You will have to be very much focused. ये नहीं articles on judicial activism, वो 4-5 कोचिंग वाले हैं, उन्हीं का पूरा you will get the things. And even we don't know that who has written that article. But in the newspapers, scholars, those who really have worked on this field, who have got knowledge, they will be writing. Some former jurist, or we can say a person who has seen the things, an eminent lawyer, his articles will be there on judicial activism. Not only this, suppose if a speech has been given on judicial activism or judicial overreach, the word has been used in any speech which is there in the newspaper, you will get an idea about it. For example, if the Chief Justice of India has delivered a speech, so his speech will also, the crux will also be there in the newspaper. You can use it. Last month, retired Justice Ranjan Gogoi, he was addressing the Guwahati High Court in a function, and he had talked about judicial activism, judicial overreach. A smart student, what he will do? This is the speech, and he will take the best out of that. Okay, the former Chief Justice of India had given his views on judicial activism, judicial overreach. Your answer will definitely be others from the will be different from the others. This is how you can differentiate your answer with the others. That is the value addition that you need to make. This is where the students are lacking. वो तो समझते हैं कि लक्ष्मीकांत is the Bible. So you have to go beyond that book. Then only you will be a topper and your name will be there in the merit list, which will be prepared by the UPSC in the year, which will be appearing in the examination. Such type of value addition. ये नहीं कि रोज का रोज आप न्यूज़पेपर, that is a different purpose is there for that. So any national newspaper I have said, so the way in which you should be using the newspaper to do value additions. Then apart from any, we can say, View magazine, any View magazine, it is suggested that students who prepare for the UPSC examination, they need to read the Frontline. Frontline is one of the better View magazines. It is a fortnightly magazine. No doubt it has also got orientation towards the left ideology, but it carries an article of the month, 2-3 articles may be there related to the same topic, and 3-4 pages in the Frontline are dedicated for international relations. That will be handy for you for international relations also. And the contributors, they are also the eminent persons. The persons who contribute in the Frontline, they are eminent persons. Then Rajya Sabha television debates. Rajya Sabha television debates. Technology can be used in two ways, for making you or for destroying you. And technology generally we use for a constructive purpose. यहाँ भी देखो, I have told you to follow any national newspaper. With the help of technology only you can do it. You can visit the archive also. पुराने articles will be there, you can see them. Here also, Rajya Sabha television debate. You will be using your mobile phones for that. So whenever you have time, अब करना क्या है? अब boring, we are feeling bored. Then just okay, Rajya Sabha television debates, Google. You get some good topics there. And there who take part in the discussions, they are eminent persons. Professors of the universities, they are invited. It is not a Aaj Tak debate, or we can say a debate on India TV. When you will see that the anchors, they are barking, the panelists, they are fighting. It's not like that. But you will really find good people who will be helping you in understanding the problem of gender empowerment, then child labor issues, environmental issues. Your knowledge base will be enhanced. So no stereotype, we can say, type of preparation which technology has developed. So we will have to go beyond the books. We will have to develop a horizon of thought process, and these things will be helping you. Because not only prelims, not only mains, you'll have to appear in the personality test also. So from the very beginning, there should be holistic preparation for the examination. Then, whenever we talk about this polity, every political system works or functions in accordance with the constitution of the country. Now, in the class, we'll start from the scratch, matlab basics, because generally I have an idea that the students know nothing. So from the scratch we will be starting, and then we will be going to the highest level that is required from the examination point of view. Now, to start our discussion, first of all, the word constitution. Now, whenever we hear this word constitution, जब भी हम यह word constitution सुनते हैं, the first thing that comes in our mind that it is a document. It is a document. What type of document? It is a written document. It is a legal document. Generally, the idea that comes in our mind. So, whenever we talk about this word constitution, the first idea that comes in our mind that it is a document which enjoys special legal sanctity. Which enjoys special legal sanctity. When we say legal sanctity, sanctity means backing of the law. So, what type of document? It is a legal document. If an individual or an organization which is living within the territory of that particular country, if it will not follow the provisions of the constitution, then the law will take its own course. That is, we can say, enjoying legal sanctity, backing of the law. Now you see, that we have an inquisitive mind. Suppose if I am carrying a book with me, some of you will feel that let us see what books the teacher is carrying. Or if a document is here, then you will feel to see, अरे यार ये किताब है क्या, एक बार देख तो ले. We should see it. Now suppose if the constitution is lying here, and if we turn the pages of the constitution, then what we get? So when we turn the pages of the constitution, we see that it contains the principles and functions of the organs of the government of a state. So it contains what? It contains the principles and functions. Principles and functions of what? Of the organs. Organs of what? The government and government of a state. Three words I have said. Principles and functions of the organs, organs of the government of a state. Now each and every word that I will explain in the class, I will use it here, I will explain it. The notes for the UPSC examination has to be very much systematic. कॉलेज लेक्चर जैसा नहीं है क्या बैठ के टीचर बोल रहे हैं एंड यू विल स्टार्ट ऐसा कुछ कुछ लिख दिया. You will get confused. कि सर ने in what context the teacher has said what. This is your running notes. आप जो कॉपी बनाओगे तो ये आपका रनिंग नोट्स है जो अभी आप लिख रहे हो. ठीक है, मैं कुछ चीज ऐसे लिखते रहूंगा, कुछ चीज जहां अलग से लिखवानी है मैं बोलूंगा कि यस यू राइट इट. दिस इज आवर रनिंग नोट्स. नाउ एक्स्ट्रा इंफॉर्मेशन दैट आई विल गिव यू. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आई विल बी टेलिंग यू द मीनिंग ऑफ द टर्म स्टेट, व्हाट इज द गवर्नमेंट, व्हाट आर द ऑर्गन्स ऑफ गवर्नमेंट. तभी तो जानोगे ना कि व्हाट आर प्रिंसिपल्स एंड फंक्शंस. So what you can do is that you can, after writing the explanation, okay, state, organs, then what you can do is you can make a table. Usko table kar do. Okay, this was the extra information. So that the next point that I will tell here, it will come here and you will be able to correlate the things. That these points were the explanation of the second point. ऐसे लिखना है तो यहां पे आप उसको बॉक्स में बना लेना लिख करके इस तरह से, या आप साइड में कहीं पे इंफॉर्मेशन लिख लीजिएगा. नाउ वन बाय वन आई विल बी टेलिंग यू. देखो, फॉरगेट की कंटेन्स द प्रिंसिपल्स एंड फंक्शंस. ये सब फर्स्ट थिंग दैट वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड हियर इज द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ स्टेट. Because we have written it contains the principles and functions of the organs of the government of a state. So first of all we need to understand the meaning of the term state. You see, whenever we hear the word state, state has got different meanings at different places. For example, in the context of India, when we say states, Haryana, Tamil Nadu, Jharkhand, Punjab, Manipur, Sikkim, they are termed as states. Now, when we talk about the chapter on fundamental rights and the directive principles of state policy, there the word state has been used in a different context. The state shall not discriminate among the citizens. The state shall strive to secure. So the word state is there. There, in a layman's term, state will mean the government, whether the central government or the state government or any authority, local government. That is the concept of state. The state shall not discriminate. But when we talk about the concept of state in political science, state as a concept in political science, then state here will mean a different thing. State here will mean an entity having 4 elements. You can write it here. The elements of the state. और पहले इसका डेफिनेशन लिख लो. A state is an entity. A state is an entity having 4 elements. Having 4 elements. Population, territory, government, and sovereignty. Population and territory, they are the physical basis of a state. They are the physical basis of a state. You can see them. Okay, these people are living within the state. Then the population of a state cannot be fixed, but the territory has to be fixed. This population must live within a defined territory. You can see that, okay, this is the territory of the state. Then government. Government is the political basis. Government is the political basis of a state. And then sovereignty is the spiritual basis. It is the spiritual basis. How many of you are science students? Okay. How many of you have read humanities? Arts subject कितने लोगों ने पढ़ा है? ठीक. At the college level. तब अच्छा ऐसे ही पढ़ा है. How many of you have read political science? None of you. So you have read political science. You have also read political science at the college level. Okay. So most of us are from science background, non-political science background. So I'll try to make the things easier for you. You see that when we एक-एक करके पहले चलो ये we know the meaning population, territory, we understand it. When we talk about sovereignty, first of all, what is this concept of sovereignty? Sovereignty is the supreme decision making power. It is the supreme decision making power. Now you see, first of all, in our individual context, we all are sovereign. Suppose he is wearing a t-shirt. No one has asked him that you should be wearing a t-shirt. Him also, I am wearing a shirt. No one has asked me that no, you'll have to wear this shirt only. It is my own decision. It is said, over his mind, body and soul, an individual is free. Over his mind, body and soul, an individual is free. What type of food we will be having, what type of clothes we will be wearing, to whom we will be talking to, it is our own decision. So over his mind, body and soul, an individual is free. That is sovereignty in our individual context. When we talk about the sovereignty of a state, here every state enjoys two types of sovereignty. Internal and external. Internal sovereignty means laws of the state are binding on every individual and organization within its territory. And external sovereignty means that the foreign relations are conducted without any external interference an independent foreign policy So here if you see, laws of the state are binding on every individual and organization within its territory. That is why if a group of people, they do not abide by the law of that particular land, then what we say, that these people are challenging the sovereignty of the country. तो बोलते हैं ना कि लॉ को हम नहीं मानते हैं, यहाँ के लॉ को, तो हम लोग क्या बोलते हैं कि भाई these people or this set of people are challenging the sovereignty of India. Then external sovereignty. Now here if you see that if we talk about the units, Haryana, Punjab, Tamil Nadu, Chhattisgarh, they have got population, they have got territory, they have got government. They can have internal sovereignty also to some extent, but they do not enjoy external sovereignty. Why I said internal sovereignty to some extent? Suppose you go to the state of Bihar. There is prohibition in the state of Bihar Liquor is banned in that state. So sale, manufacturing and consumption of liquor is banned within the state of Bihar. So when you go to the state of Bihar, you will have to follow the law which is prevailing in the state of Bihar. So they also have got this internal sovereignty, but you may not have ever heard about the foreign policy of Texas or the foreign policy of Haryana, Punjab, Tamil Nadu, Chhattisgarh. Never. It is the sovereignty that distinguishes a unit from a state. Sovereignty. So, in a layman's term, when we talk about this concept of state, state here will mean a country. Will mean a country. I should have simply said, मैं आपको शुरू में बोल देता कि अच्छा state will mean country, but no. Idea has to be there in you because questions are asked in the examination. Which of the following statement is correct? And the definition of the state is mentioned. A group of people living within a fixed territory, having a political authority with supreme decision making power. 4 elements. It was a question in 2021 or 2020. So the basic things are being asked by the UPSC nowadays. That is why you needed to start from the scratch. Even if you need to understand the constitution, उसमें state आपको जानेगा, इससे एक क्वेश्चन आया जो स्टूडेंट्स पढ़ के गए होंगे वो आराम से उस साल एग्जाम में उनका करेक्ट आंसर था. ये तो हुआ the concept of sovereignty because some concepts can be new for you also. Then meaning of government. These are our initial classes ने इसलिए मैं थोड़ा basics भी आपको I will be explaining to you. When we talk about government, now if I ask you that what is a government? These things are very basic in civics. Suppose your younger brother, sister, or your sister's son, daughter, brother's son, daughter, anyone, kids, when you go home, they will say, Didi, Chacho, Mama, the kid will be in 6th or 7th or 5th. Because preparing for IAS, अभी तो बोलते हैं doing IAS, क्या कर रहे हैं IAS कर रहे हैं. The preparing for the examination. Generally, this is what people say. He's doing IAS. He's preparing for the civil services examination. But obviously, there is a perception. So they will think that preparing for the examination means obviously he must be a very learned person. So they will ask you that Didi, Mummy, Mami, or we can say Mausi, what is government? It was there in the civics book. Then what you will say? What you will say? Oh, the Congress government, BJP government, you don't know this? No, we are not supposed to tell these things. You should say that, dear, you see that there are, the state has got certain functions to perform. A state has certain functions to perform. A state makes laws for its people, law making, law implementation, and law adjudication. Now, there can be a question in your mind that, sir, how these are the functions of a state: law making, law implementation, law adjudication. Now here you see that in our country, you know that the law is made by the parliament or your state legislatures make laws. You know that the law enforcement is done by the executive, that is, we can say the police, the army. But outside the world, outside India, what will be the perception? Suppose the Citizenship Amendment Act 2019 was passed and it was opposed by certain sections of the society. Then in the foreign media, what they will be writing or saying? India has made a law related to citizenship which is being opposed by certain sections of the society. India has made a law. The name will be that of India. Then suppose while implementing the laws, there is violation of human rights. The high-handedness is done by the police or the army or the armed forces. Then you will say that the police has violated the human rights, the army has violated the human rights. But outside India, India has violated the human rights. In this part of the country, Sudan violated human rights, Sri Lanka violated human rights. The name will be that of the country. And if justice system is not working well in the country, people are not getting justice by the court, then outside the country, what the foreign media will say? That country, it never imparts justice to its people. It never imparts justice to its people. The name is that of the state. So it is expected that the state will make laws for the people, it will implement them, and then it will give justice to the people also. And on behalf of the state, these functions are performed by an agency called the government. So, because when we talk about the state, so on behalf of the state, these functions are performed by the government. So, when we talk about a government, if we need to define a government, government can be defined as an agent of the state. An agent of the state. It is a machinery through which the laws are made, implemented, and adjudicated. This is the government. And so if someone will ask you what is the government, so you should say that it is the agent of the state through which the state undertakes the different functions. Now, these three functions of the state, law making, law implementation, and law adjudication, these are exercised by three different organs. These are exercised by three different organs. Lawmaking is done by the organ that is legislature. The law implementation is done by the executive. And law adjudication is done by the judiciary. Now coming to this legislature, across the globe means when we talk about the countries, then every country has got a legislature. And we have seen that in some of the countries, there is only one house in the central legislature, and in some of the countries, we have got two houses. So, legislatures can be unicameral, means one house, and bicameral, two houses. China, it has got a unicameral legislature. And in China, the legislature is known as National People's Congress. National People's Congress. One house is there. Then, when we talk about bicameral legislatures, then we see that some of the countries, they have got bicameral legislature. US, what is the legislature in the US termed as? Congress. So the US Congress has got two houses. कौन-कौन से दो houses हैं? Senate and House of Representatives. House of Representatives. Then, if you talk about United Kingdom, in the United Kingdom, the legislature is known as the Parliament. It is known as the Parliament. So the UK Parliament, it consists of कौन-कौन से two houses हैं? Very good. House of Lords and House of Commons. And in India, I don't need to tell you, it is the Parliament which consists of two houses at the central level, and what are these two houses termed as? Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Very good. So unicameral means one house, because ये एकदम बेसिक चीज है, एंड अगर ये शुरू में हम लोग जान जाएंगे तो सही रहता है ना. अब एनसीईआरटी में ऑब्वियसली पीपल विल रीड दीज थिंग्स ओनली. So unicameral one house, bicameral two houses. So in some of the countries we have got unicameral legislature, in some of the countries we have got bicameral legislatures. Then When we talk about executive is also of two types. Temporary and permanent. Temporary and permanent. The ministers, they are temporary executives, and the civil servants, they are the permanent executives. Now, why there is the concept of the temporary as well as permanent executives? First of all, we need to know the reason why we call them as temporary, why we call them as permanent. You see, ministers have no term, no fixed term. You see that as long as the council of ministers will enjoy the majority in the lower house, the government will be there. If there will be no majority, the government will no longer be there. And in between also the ministers can be removed. You see that earlier, if we talk about the story of Maharashtra, in Maharashtra, Uddhav Thackeray was the chief minister. But there was bifurcation within the Shiv Sena, and another faction of Shiv Sena, it elected Mr. Eknath Shinde as its leader. And as Mr. Shinde had got the support of more number of Shiv Sena MLAs, with the help of the Bharatiya Janata Party, that group formed the government. So, Mr. Sindhe's term was not of 5 years. Not of 5 years. So, the term of the ministers is not fixed. The term of your legislature can be fixed. That the legislative assembly will be there for 5 years, the Lok Sabha will be there for 5 years, but the term of the ministers cannot be fixed. Then, when we talk about the civil servants are appointed for a fixed term, age. The retirement age is there, 60 years, or we can say it 58 years, as per the law of the country. And except under abnormal circumstances, they cannot be removed, except under abnormal circumstances. Now, there is another logic that we need to understand, that why we have the permanent executives as well as the temporary executive. You see, whenever we talk about the temporary executive, these are elected representatives. These are our elected representatives, and we elect them. Why? It is not a Mahaparv or festival of democracy, as people say. That is their perception. But as a student of politics, what is my perception about election is that it is a trust. Election is a trust. And when we vote in the election to a candidate of a particular political party, we show our trust in that political party which follows an ideology, that if the people belonging to this ideology will come to power, then they will utilize the taxpayers' money in a proper way. That is the trust. So, it is a trust that we show to the political leaders. But so these people whom we elect, they may have got the farsightedness. They may have got the farsightedness. They may have got the vision. They may have felt our pulse, that what people require, what type of policies they want, but they may not have the technical expertise to make policies for the optimum utilization of the taxpayers' money. And that is why we have got another set, that is the civil servants. The civil servants, they are selected through a rigorous competition, and after competing in the examination, proving that they are capable of learning, they have got administrative aptitude, they are given training so that they can make optimum utilization of the resources. You will be given training in Missouri for policy making as well as policy implementation. You will become experts and you will help the ministers in fulfilling their vision. Both have to work together. Both have to work together. That is why we have got two types of executives in all the countries. That is the permanent executive as well as the temporary executive. दोनों को मिलके काम करना है साथ में. It is not that they have to work separately. That is why people's representatives are given respect, because people have shown their respect in the representatives. So if we talk about, and then when we talk about judiciary, it is the system of the court. Every country has got its own judicial system. Now, if we talk about the constitution of any country, say the Constitution of America. So the American Constitution, it contains the provisions with respect to the US Congress. How many houses will be there in the US Congress? How the members will be, Senate will be elected, how the members of House of Representatives will be elected, then after that, how the bills will be passed in the houses of the Congress, how they will amend the Constitution, the detailed thing. Then the provisions with respect to the election of the American president, the impeachment of the American president, the powers and functions of the American president, and then the provisions regarding the US Supreme Court. Everything has been mentioned in black and white in the document that is known as the US Constitution. Similarly, if we talk about the Indian Constitution, therein also you will find the provisions related to the legislature, then the executive, and then the judiciary. This is what we had started with. It contains the principles and functions of the organs of the government of a state. समझ गए? So such type of idea has to be developed. That is what we call as reading between the lines. Reading between the lines. So I should have simply said country, but no, these things have to be understood. अब समझ में आया क्या है? What is this constitution? It contains the principles and functions of the organs, means legislature, executive and judiciary. Now, one question I told you, the meaning of state, that can be asked in the examination. Second question from here, your understanding of the constitution. Now, basically, if we talk about the constitution, what is the purpose of the constitution? by talking about the principles and functions of the organs of the government of a state, what the constitution does is it restricts the powers of the government. That no, you'll have to do like this. You'll have to make laws on these aspects. That is putting limitation on the powers of the government. So here you can write as note. The objective of Constitution is to provide for a limited government that is the Constitution puts restrictions on the government. The Constitution puts restrictions on the government. UPSC is very fond of asking such questions in the examination. And if you see the questions which are being asked by the UPSC in the last 10 years, every alternative year, the questions have been asked in the form of such a statement. Limited government, restricted government. भाई कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का उद्देश्य क्या? What is the objective? It is to put limitations on the organs of the government. That you'll have to make laws on these subjects. This is the process that you need to follow. And so both the sentences are the same. Any one of the statement will be there in the examination. Then there can be another statement. Which one of the following is correct regarding constitutionalism? Constitutionalism provides for a limited government. A government which is run or administered in accordance with the constitution. तो घबराना नहीं एग्जाम में कि अच्छा constitutionalism word, it is a bombarding word. No. Making it very simple that constitutionalism refers to a limited government. A government which is run in accordance with the principles of the constitution. Such type of understanding based statements will be there in the prelims examination. ठीक है ना? ऐसे ही समझ डेवलप करना है धीरे धीरे. ये नहीं कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का डेफिनेशन नहीं पढ़ना, ठीक है, उसके बाद इसका ऑब्जेक्टिव वी नीड टू नो, और यहां से एग्जाम में क्वेश्चन. ऐसे जब जो टॉपिक्स आई विल बी डिस्कसिंग विथ यू, you should go home, उसके बाद see the PYQs, and on the basis of the lecture notes, if you are able to solve it, then the time that you are spending with me will be fruitful. आप में भी कॉन्फिडेंस आएगा ना कि भाई जहां बैठते हैं, obviously I will be able to solve the question, because our ultimate objective, मैं ये स्टूडेंट्स को ये नहीं बोलता हूं कि एक बार तो आपको तैयारी कर लेना चाहिए, बहुत लोग बोलते हैं, नो, you are here to compete in the examination. We are here to compete in the examination. We are here to see our name in the merit list. So, if I discuss any topic with you, when you go home, see the PYQs. Try to solve the previous year questions on the basis of the lecture notes. And if you are able to do that, it means your purpose is solved. ऐसे ही पढ़ना है. Now, when we talk about these two aspects, that it is a document which enjoys special legal sanctity, and secondly, it contains the principles and functions of the organs of the government of a state. It can be a narrow definition of the word constitution, because in the constitutions of many countries we find the rights of the people. In the American Constitution, the rights of the people have been given, the Bill of Rights. The first 10 amendments of the American Constitution, उनके original Constitution में नहीं था. So the first 10 amendments, they added the rights of the people. Then when we talk about the British system, they also have got the rights of the people. And then when we talk about the French Constitution, in the French Constitution, there is a mention of rights of the citizens and then rights of the people, means the non-citizens also. And in our country, we have got a chapter called Fundamental Rights. Then in some of the constitutions, the duties of the state towards the people has also been mentioned. For example, in our country, we have the directive principles of state policy. What type of policies the state should make, the guideline has also been given in some of the constitutions, including our country. And then in some of the constitutions, there has been mentioned the duties of the people also. If we talk about the constitution of the socialist countries, China, erstwhile USSR, all of them had got the duties of the people. Even in the modern times, even if we talk about the liberal countries, Japan, it has also got a chapter on the duties of the citizens. We also have got fundamental duties. So if we say that it contains the principles and functions of the organs of the government of a state, then it will be a narrow definition of the word constitution, because we will be omitting those aspects, the rights, the duties. So another point we can write here is that it also contains the ideals and aspirations of the people. Ideals are the goals that we feel that we have achieved. नहीं बोलते हैं भाई Dr. Abdul Kalam is my ideal. Some people say Swami Vivekananda is my ideal. Some people say Gandhi ji is my ideal. A parameter has been set. Some people say honesty is my ideal. So a virtue hai. So generally it is held that ideals are the goals that we feel that we have achieved. But I always speak the truth. Gandhi ji is my ideal. So basically here what we say is that we feel that we have achieved it, ideal. Aspirations are the goals that we have not achieved yet. You all are termed as civil services aspirant. Your aspiration is to become a civil servant. You have not become a civil servant yet. You aspire to become a civil servant. So aspirations in every country, people, they are in need of certain type of freedom. They want to be treated equally. They want to be given justice. So that is why we have the provisions like the rights, the duties of the state and the duties of the people or the citizens. So a broad definition of the word constitution will mean that it is a legal document which contains the principles and functions of the organs of the government of a state, and it also contains the ideas and aspirations of the people. Okay? And in between you see that we discussed so many aspects, the basic things also. Now coming to the next aspect. What is there in the Indian Constitution? ये तो general definition of the word Constitution. Now, what is there in the Indian Constitution? The Indian Constitution has two aspects. First, the philosophical aspects, and the governmental aspects. Some philosophical aspects are there. We call them as the philosophical basis of the Constitution. The preamble, fundamental rights, directive principles of state policy, and the fundamental duties. You see that the preamble contains, preamble is just like the preface. We will be discussing these aspects also. The preamble contains the philosophy of the Constitution. If you read the preamble, you can come to know that what is there inside the preamble. So, what is there inside the Constitution? What was in the back of the mind of the Constitution makers when they had enacted the Constitution? The philosophy. Then you will ask me that, sir, what is philosophical about the fundamental rights, the directive principles, fundamental duties? Why you have kept it under, or why it is they are kept under the philosophical basis? You see, what a philosopher does. He closes his eyes and imagines, if the people will do like this, the world will be like this. Imagination, that is philosophy. And what you say, hey, why you are being a philosopher? Why you are being a philosopher? So it means that a person who thinks much, if then, that is what the philosopher says, if then. So when we talk about the words which are there in the preamble, sorry, in the fundamental rights, they are not straightforward things. The state shall not discriminate among the citizens. If the state will not discriminate, then there will be equality. If the state will not discriminate, then there will be equality. Philosophical. The state shall not discriminate. The state shall not deny. What the state shall not do. But for what? To have some fundamental rights. Then when we talk about the directive principles of state policy, the state shall strive to secure to all its citizens equal pay for equal work, prevention of concentration of wealth in fewer hands. What is it? If the state will make laws like this, then the objective of welfare state will be achieved. Nowhere in the constitution it is mentioned that the state will achieve the goal of welfare state. So the state shall strive to secure. So if the state will make policies like this, then there will be welfare state. If the state will not make policies on the basis of these principles, obviously will not be having a welfare state. If you talk about the fundamental duties, many of them are philosophical in nature. To renounce the practices derogatory to women. To renounce the practices derogatory to women. ये नहीं लिखा it is the duty of the citizens to give respect to women or to protect the dignity of women. लिखा to renounce the practices derogatory to women. So if the citizens will renounce the practices derogatory to women, then only there will be dignity of women that will be secured. If and then. That is why they have been kept under philosophical aspect. And to make these philosophical aspects a reality, we have got the governmental aspect. Obviously, सिर्फ इसको रह के कोई फायदा तो है नहीं. Where the state shall. So, we have got the governmental aspect. Because they will have to do all these things. Now, when we talk about the governmental aspects, the Constitution of India provides for three types of government. Union government, state government. Here state will be in the units, and then the local self-governments. The local self-governments. The Constitution talks about the executive, legislature, and judiciary. And judiciary at both the levels, union as well as the state. Then it also talks about, it has got the provisions related to the relationship between union government and the state government, how they will function together. That is the center-state relations. The center-state relations. Then some institutions like the Election Commission, the Public Service Commission, the Finance Commission, the CAG, which will help in the functioning of the government. But if the Election Commission is not there, who will conduct the elections in the country? How the government formation will be there? If Public Service Commission is not there, who will conduct the examination to have the permanent executives? So, Election Commission, Public Service Commission, Finance Commission, which will give recommendations that how the finances will be, resources will be distributed. Then the CAG, who will audit the accounts, that is to check the misuse of public money. So we have got institutions also which have been provided, and then some miscellaneous provisions like creation of a new state, citizenship, emergency provisions, then tribunals, etc. And then local self-government. At the rural level, and at the urban level. At the rural level, these are known as Panchayati Raj institutions. And at the urban level, known as municipal bodies. Known as municipal bodies. Now, those who were sitting in the class, those who had entered in the class with a thought in their mind that what is going to be the subject matter of Indian polity, what is going to be taught, then this is your synopsis for the coming classes. So in the coming classes, basically, we will be discussing the philosophical aspects, that is the preamble, fundamental rights, directive principles of state policy, fundamental duties. We will be discussing the governmental aspects, that is the union government, state government and local self-government in detail. The dynamic part as well as the static part. This is the subject matter. यही पूरा आपका एक तरह से देखोगे तो सिलेबस है ऑफ द एग्जामिनेशन. नाउ ठीक है, फिर क्या पढ़ना, पहले ये तो जानना था ना कि व्हाट वी नीड टू डिस्कस. देन constitutional bodies, these things will be discussed by us. Then when we talk about the rest of the aspect, the statutory bodies like the CBI, उसके बाद we have got the ED और जितने भी अभी चल रहे हैं ना, ये सब NHRC, these things will be basically discussed by in the governance part. Then उसके बाद the concept of good governance, the concept of, we can say, the civil services, administrative reforms, they are the subject matter of the governance part. This is our synopsis. Now, before we wind up, one more small topic that I will be discussing with you today, it is the framing of the constitution. This is important from the prelims point of view. We all know that the constitution was enacted or framed by the Constituent Assembly You see, it is a story. In brief, first of all, I will tell you a story. Then I'll make you to write some points. It all started when the British decided to give us independence. I will not be discussing with you the British rule, because even in the syllabus it is written, landmark in the development of the Constitution of India, and in the books generally they start with the Government of India Acts, which were passed by the British government. But that is the jurisdiction of our history teacher. History teacher will be discussing with you the British rule, the freedom struggle, and then he will be helping you in getting independence. But my role will start after that. That is the Constitution to be framed. Constitution is to be understood. That is my domain. But you people have got a more challenging task. First of all, you will have to frame the Constitution. First of all, you will have to fight the British rule. You will have to get independence. After that, you will have to understand the Constitution. And if you get selected, then you will have to administer this country in accordance with this Constitution. So, your role is more important than us. Now, briefly I will tell you a story here. You see, it all started when the British decided to give us independence. And in the Constituent Assembly, the members from the states were to be there, and the representatives of the princely states were to be nominated. Now, the first question, that whether the members of the Constituent Assembly will be elected directly by the people or not. कुछ हिस्ट्री तो पढ़े होगे तुम लोग. So what you know about the Constituent Assembly? Who had elected the members of the Constituent Assembly? If they were directly elected by the people? No. Basically, they were elected by the members of the provincial assemblies, because under the Government of India Act 1935, the Government of India Acts were enacted from time to time by the British government, according to which India was ruled. So, basically the Government of India Act 1935 provided for the elections to the provincial assemblies. At that point of time, provincial assemblies were there, and no doubt the elections also took place. The assemblies like Bengal, then central provinces, Bombay, Madras, provinces were there. No doubt the members had resigned in 1937. Your history teacher will be able to tell you exactly what was the reason. But the name of the members were there, that these people were elected from Bombay, these from Madras, these from Bengal. So it was decided that the members of the provincial assemblies, they will elect the representatives from the respective states. जैसे अभी राज्यसभा के मेंबर्स का इलेक्शन होता है ना, फॉर एग्जाम्पल फ्रॉम दिल्ली, आवर MLAs elect 3 members in the Rajya Sabha. Then suppose from Rajasthan, 11 members are sent. 11 members are sent. So the MLAs of that particular state, they will be electing the respective members. So the elections were held. The people of India, all of them were not participant in the election to the members of the provincial assemblies. this is a criticism of our Constituent Assembly, that the Constituent Assembly was not a true representative of the people of India. Why? Because they were elected by the members of the provincial assemblies, and the members of the provincial assemblies were not directly elected by the people. ठीक है? There was limited suffrage. No doubt people participated, but there was no universal adult suffrage. There was limited franchise. सबको voting right नहीं दिया था अंग्रेजों ने. Then after that the elections were held, and the first session took place on 9th December 1946, which was boycotted by Muslim League, and the Muslim League demanded a separate Constituent Assembly for Pakistan. Our leaders tried to talk to them, but it did not materialize. They said that no, we want another country. But we were focused from day one, and the members of the Constituent Assembly, they elected Dr. Rajendra Prasad as the president. The Constituent Assembly started working. 22 committees were set up to give inputs on various aspects. Committee on Fundamental Rights, Rules Committee, Committee on the Union Constitution, States Committee. So the committees were formed. They looked into the matter, they gave the reports, and our constitution was based on consensus. Every chapter, that is after the first draft was prepared, it was placed for discussion in the Constituent Assembly, and it was discussed, and then voting used to take place. And generally after the consensus used to be there on a particular bill or a particular article or provision, then only the provisions were adopted. So our constitution was based on consensus. और उसके लिए चाहे इन्होंने जो भी किया, आपस में मिल बैठ के बातचीत कर ली कि नहीं ठीक है, दिस प्रोविजन, अमेंडमेंट्स वेर देयर, and the constitution was adopted on 26th of November 1949. From that day, some of the provisions came into force, not all the provisions, and rest of the provisions came into force from which date? 26 January 1950. Why that date was chosen? Why 26 January 1950 was chosen? अरे स्कूल में स्पीच नहीं देते थे सुबह 26 जनवरी के दिन? How many of you are from outside Delhi in the class? क्योंकि दिल्ली में तो they give a holiday on 15th August and 26 January. It is capital, and on 14th of August it is the Independence Day that is celebrated. Yes, tell me. There was a Congress session in which the resolution for Purna Swaraj was passed. That was on 26th of January 1930. So to commemorate that day, that is when the resolution for Purna Swaraj was adopted by the Congress, the date of 26th January was chosen. Now why this date? Why this day is observed as Republic Day, not as Constitution Day? The Constitution had come into force, but why Republic Day? वो तो ठीक है, फ्लैग होस्टिंग हुआ उसके बाद, because on 26th January India was declared as a republic. What is a republic? The head of the state is an elected one. He is not a hereditary monarch. And on 26th of January 1950, Dr. Rajendra Prasad had taken oath as the first president of independent India. Before that, we had the Governor General. Lord Mountbatten was there. Then C. Rajgopalachari were there. They were appointed. They were not elected. So we had an elected head of the state. India was declared as a republic. That is why Republic Day. So some basic facts are there, I will tell you, you can write it. उसको ना point wise देख लो. The elections to elect the members of the Constituent Assembly the elections to elect the members of the Constituent Assembly were held in July 1946. In July 1946. Next point. The members of the Constituent Assembly were elected by the members of the provincial assemblies. Were elected by the members of the provincial assemblies. Next. The first session of the Constituent Assembly was held on 9th December 1946. It was presided over by Dr. Sachidanand Sinha. It was presided over by Dr. Sachidanand Sinha. Next. On 11th December 1946, the Constituent Assembly elected Dr. Rajendra Prasad as its president. Sir B. N. Rao was appointed as the legal or constitutional advisor to the Constituent Assembly. He is not much known or discussed name in this country, but he was the person who was really behind the framing of the Indian Constitution. He was the person who worked behind the scene, and he was a very learned person. He had read, we can say, the constitution of almost all the countries. तो जब कभी भी इनको कोई भी डाउट संकोच होता था ना, दे यूज्ड टू कंसल्ट सर बी एन राव. इनका बेचारे का नाम ही नहीं आया क्योंकि वोट बैंक पॉलिटिक्स नहीं है ना इनके फेवर में, इसीलिए दैट इज व्हाई ही इज नॉट नोन. अगर आप ना आज घर जाकर के यू शुड गूगल सर बी एन राव एंड यू विल कम टू नो अबाउट दिस पर्सन. और नॉट ओनली इंडिया, he was invited to be the legal advisor of many constitutions. जो उनकी Constituent Assembly बनी, so he was invited in many countries to give legal advice to them. Then next point you can write. on 13th December, on 13th December 1946, Pandit Nehru introduced or presented the objective resolution in the Constituent Assembly. You can highlight this point. Which of the following statement is correct? Dr. Ambedkar had presented the objective resolution. Pandit Nehru had presented the objective resolution. It was Pandit Nehru who had presented the objective resolution. Now you can say, sir, what is this objective resolution? So in the objective resolution, the objectives or the goals of the Constituent Assembly was mentioned. That what is our purpose? What is the objective of the Constituent Assembly? And after that, when the constitution making process was over, then this objective resolution, it was given the shape of the preamble of the Constitution. So that is the significance of the objective resolution. Then next point you can write. The Constituent Assembly constituted 22 committees. So if you wish to know the name of the committees and their chairman, it is available most probably in the study material also, that will be giving it to you, and all the books that you will be finding. Any matter, anywhere you can see them. Generally, if you will be appearing in your state PCS examination, then such questions will be important. Otherwise, they will not be asking you with respect to the committees. And for a more clearer version, what you can do is that you can follow the website of the Lok Sabha. मैं आपको चैनल्स जो भी बताऊंगा ना, टेक्स्ट बुक अगर आप नहीं भी फॉलो करना चाहते हो, then follow the website of Lok Sabha. Just type Google Constituent Assembly Lok Sabha. So in the Lok Sabha website of the Lok Sabha, the story of the constitution making is given. वो बहुत अच्छे ढंग से, the language is also very ornamental, so you can have a look. तो वो सब source if you will follow ना, then you will get the authentic knowledge also. You will feel interested. Lok Sabha का website में it is mentioned. Then next point you can write. The constitution was based on consensus. The constitution was based on consensus. Next, the Constituent Assembly adopted the constitution on 26th November 1949. Full stop. From that day, इसी में लिखना, इसी पॉइंट में, from that day, some articles like Articles 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 60, 324, 366, 367, 379, 380, 388, 393, and 394 came into force. A bracket में लिख लो, you can write came into force. You can write in the bracket as per Article 394. As per Article 394. So you say in Article 394 it is written that these articles will come into force with immediate effect. And it is written in Article 394 only that the rest of the provisions shall come into force from 26th of January 1950. So it is also mentioned in the Constitution. So in the next sentence we can write rest of the provisions came into force from 26th January 1950. Full stop. From that day, the Constituent Assembly ceased to exist मतलब उस दिन से कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली खत्म हो गई. ceased to exist and it transformed itself into the Parliament of India until the establishment of the first parliament after the general election. So from 26 January 1950, our Constituent Assembly became the first parliament of the country. That from today, we will not be sitting here as the Constituent Assembly, but we will be making laws in accordance with this Constitution. So another question, which body acted as the first Parliament of Independent India? What will be our answer? The Constituent Assembly. Then the last sentence we can write here. 26th November is observed as the Constitution Day. 26th November is observed as the Constitution Day. The objective of observing this day is to imbibe IMBIBE is to imbibe the spirit of the Constitution in the citizens. So what is the spirit of the Constitution? Justice, liberty, equality, dignity, fraternity, such type of things. So such type of questions are asked in the prelims examination. That what is the objective of the Constitution Day? And the Constitution basically was the Constituent Assembly used to meet at the central hall of the old Parliament, and that is why the old Parliament has been named as Samvidhan Sadan, and the new Parliament has been named as Sansad Bhavan. So that is the logic, because the Constituent Assembly used to meet at the central hall of the old Parliament. Central hall was the building, or was the room or the hall where the joint sittings of the Parliament used to take place, when the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha used to sit together. This was in brief the making of the Indian Constitution. इससे बहुत rare questions are asked in the examination. That is why I gave less time. The more time that we will be giving means the more important topics from the examination point of view. So these were the things that we needed to discuss in the today's class, as it was our first class today, and we'll stop here for the day. Some of the other aspects we'll be taking up for discussion in tomorrow's class. I'll see you tomorrow.